Yeah. Hey. Run it back, nation. What is good? Sixers, sickos. What is good? The Sixers win. The Philadelphia 76ers, they get a dub. And a dub is a dub, man. A dub is a dub, you know. In the famous words of action star Vin Diesel, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. They kind of won by a mile in this one, but considering the team, you know, we're gonna talk about all of it. But a win is a win, and the Sixers were 3-6 in their last 9. You know, they were trending downward. It's nice to play the Bucks without Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kevin Porter Jr. and also have Nick Nurse's alter ego or the original. Whatever version of Coach Nick Nurse is, Doc Rivers is the original version of that. So it's nice to play a team like that to get you back on track. Before I say everything I want to say, these post-game shows are brought to you by our friends at Wrong Button. Bright Medical Technology of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's largest medical supplier and pharmacy. Eastwood, what do they specialize in? This Bright Medical Technology, well, they specialize in everything. Ambulatory aids, walkers, wheelchairs, oral nutrition, tube feeding supplies, diabetic shoes and glucose monitors, incontinence supplies, catheters. If you're having trouble breathing, Bright Medical specializes in nebulizers, inhalers, spacers, and all breathing medications. Bright Medical accepts most insurances, services patients of all ages, and delivers anywhere in Pennsylvania, either by hand delivery or UPS. Bright Medical has a staff in-house that speaks 15 languages. You never talk to an automated system. If you need any medical supplies, call Bright Medical today, and don't forget to mention Run It Back Philly when you call. Go to brightmedi.com or call 215-725-MEDS. That's 215-725-6337. Let's get down to business, man. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to go crazy over this. That's the thing. Like, we can't go crazy over this. I'm not going to get too high on this victory the same way I had to make sure I didn't get too low on the Charlotte Hornets' disgusting blowout last night. You know, I could have went off the handle on that one. I chose not to. I was like, let's see what they do against the Bucks tomorrow. And then, you know, this Bucks team, it was a good win. A lot of good things happened. I'm going to talk about all the things that I think were good. But we can't get too high on this. We can't get too high on this. The things that I saw in the Hornets game, some of them are still in the air. You know, some of them are still there's still some things that I question about this team, and you know, you can't take this win against this Bucks team and run with it, is all I'm going to say. Now, they won the game easily. There wasn't really a collapse at the end. There wasn't a scare. There wasn't a, oh my God, they blew the game and had to win it in overtime. They did what they were supposed to do, and we're happy about that because the Sixers they've played down to some competition this season. So they did what they're supposed to do. So at least I'm not sitting up here yelling, oh my God, with Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Kelly Oubre healthy, everybody, you struggled with the Bucks without Giannis. So they didn't do that. I'm happy they didn't do that because we've seen it this season, right? But also this Bucks team was the 22nd ranked defense in the NBA with Giannis Antetokounmpo active. Without Giannis, I don't even want to know what their defensive rating actually would be. But as you saw tonight, maybe one of the worst ever. They are terrible defensively. And when I talk about Nick Nurse and his teams and how there's just so much miscommunication defensively, and the Sixers a lot of times just like they're running free and there's no real, like, I got this guy and you rotate over here and things like that. It's nice to see another coach who has a team full of guys who do not communicate on defense. And so, yeah, the Bucks are terrible with that, especially without Giannis. They weren't even good with him. Doc Rivers imploded that franchise. But it's still nice to get a win, right? It's still nice to get a win. Speaking of like defensive miscommunications, right? It really showed itself. It really told the whole story in the third quarter. First of all, both teams were shooting the lights out in the first half. Nobody was really playing any type of defense. The Sixers were lead 1-62. Let me know if I'm wrong about that score, but they were up by 9, and it was pretty damn high scoring on both sides. And when we talk about how the Sixers leave three-point shooters wide open every game, all game, the Bucks were doing the same thing for us. I don't want to be super negative about a win, but it really was like the lesser of two evils defensively this game, and the Bucks defense was atrocious. But it really like told the whole story in the third quarter, because the Bucks went on a little bit of a run, and then the Sixers answered that run, and Doc Rivers switched to a zone defense. And this really, like, it's an if you know type of thing. Like, you got to be a real sicko to have seen, I think, what I'm talking about here. Doc Rivers switched to a zone defense. If you remember Nick Nurse with the 2019 Toronto Raptors and how much he embarrassed the 76ers with his zone defense. Every time Nick Nurse went to zone with that Toronto Raptors team, the 76ers completely fell apart. Doc Rivers had no answer for it. So it was just so interesting to me to see Doc Rivers switch to a zone in the third quarter to try to out Nick Nurse, right? And it looked like the Sixers struggled with it for a minute. But then it became clear that this is a Doc Rivers zone defense, which means they don't practice, they don't go over repetition, they don't know who's supposed to be where. And 2 plays in a row, the first one, VJ Edgecombe gets the ball in the block, they double team him, which is just funny to even double team VJ Edgecombe at this stage of his career. Kelly Oubre dunker spot, nobody near him. There was not a single Bucks player under the rim. VJ easy pass to Kelly Oubre for a dunk, right? The next one was on the other side of the floor. The Sixers swing it around, and VJ Edgecombe's wide open in the corner. No, not a single Bucks player rotated over there. So it was just so much fun to see Doc Rivers try to out Nick Nurse by switching to a zone. But Doc Rivers, his teams are so classically under practiced. It just looked totally random, and they didn't know what they were supposed to be doing, and they left guys wide open left and right. And then even Tyrese Maxey, the next possession, just a simple hesitation dribble, one dribble into the paint, nobody comes over, and he just lays it in. So Nick Nurse used to kill Doc Rivers with the zone. Doc comes back with the Bucks, tries to run a zone, and it was as bad of a zone as Doc Rivers teams have ever run. So, I that's what I thought it was. And I thought this was a battle of 2 terribly overrated coaches. And Doc Rivers is just that much worse than Nick Nurse. But the Bucks without Giannis, I mean, they're not good anyway. Shout out to Ryan Rollins. I think he's a good young player. I'm pretty sure he was either a late first or a second round draft pick that's on like his second or third team now. So to see him, go on the runs that he's going on this season and make a name for himself, that's cool. Do I have anything else good to say about the Bucks? I love Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis is awesome. I would love for somehow, some way, the 76ers to, if the Bucks end up having a fire sale, right? If they decide, like, listen, we might as well tank it out this season. Obviously, we're going to fire Doc Rivers, because why would we not fire Doc Rivers? Everybody in history should fire Doc Rivers. Maybe they'll tank it out. Maybe they'll start selling. Maybe they'll be willing to take some bad contracts. And Bobby Portis lands on the Sixers at the trade deadline, a perfect veteran 3-and-D power forward who has heart and hustle and, fights for rebounds. And so yeah, that's my take on the game and the battle of two very, very overrated head coaches. Speaking of bad contracts, Paul George, a.k.a. Podcast P, goes for 32. Well, look, man, he needed a couple of days rest, okay? Because he put up 9 points in 32 minutes against the Knicks. Then he had to take the game off against the Hornets. He had to have 3 days of rest in between. So he was very well rested. And here's the funny thing about Paul George having a good game. And I don't want to take anything away from Paul George in this game, and I'm not. He had a great game. He was locked in. His shot was falling. Once he made a couple of them, he looked more and more confident. He was heat checking. But here's what's funny about Paul George having this game. It gives me those Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons vibes, not comparing them by any means as play style or level of talent or anything. Paul George, way better basketball player than either of those guys. But when it comes to Sixers fans, it gives me that vibe. Because this guy can stink up the joint all season for $50 million a year, right? Then he'll drop 32 points against maybe the worst defense I've ever seen in my entire life on a team that I don't even know if they're trying to win anymore. And people start coming at me on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else. What are you gonna say about Paul George now, bro? Huh? Well, what they used to send me. I remember when Tobias Harris dropped 30-something against the Dallas Mavericks one year when the Dallas Mavericks were really bad, and they were sending me Tobias Harris apology forms, and I was like, bro, just come on, man. One game, and the stands come out of the woodwork. And I'd be like, bro, just wait till it matters, man. And then, goose egg against the New York Knicks in the playoffs in an elimination game in his last game as a 76er. So what I want to say is, and I hate to say this game did nothing for me as far as my Paul George slander. This game changed absolutely nothing about how I feel about Paul George or the contract that he's on or the contributions he does not bring to this team on a nightly basis, sitting out every other game, which, by the way, you saw the video of him doing the 360 through the legs dunk in warm-ups, right? And you see how good he looked in this game, and you say, well, why didn't you play last night? Or why do you take every 2 or 3 games off? You know what I mean? It's honestly more frustrating than anything when you see Paul George have a good game. Because it's not just misses and makes. It's effort level. He always gives effort on the defensive end. I'm never going to say he doesn't do that. It's on the offensive end. And the assertiveness and aggression and confidence, it's a little frustrating when you see it against a bad team. And you've seen it not show up against so many teams. It just makes you say, what? Bro, can you just play like this every night? I don't need you to score 32 every night, but this level of effort and aggression offensively, can you just play like this every night? That's all I want for $200 million. You know? Nah, it doesn't have to be, you're not going to score 32 a game. 16 a game, Podcast P. That's all I'm asking. 16 a game. You know? But yeah, his shot was falling. He was feeling it. And, kudos to Paul George. I'm not going to take anything away from him for this. I guess me giving reasons why it didn't change my opinion on him is kind of taking things away from him. But if Paul George, if he feeds off of this, right? If he feeds off of this and does this and gives us this more consistently, then I'll start to come around and give Paul George praise. But I just the stands coming out of the woodwork on Twitter is just weird. It's just weird. But it's the internet, man. Ever since I started doing this, I've been shocked at how weird people are on the internet. But yeah, shout out to Podcast P, man. And Joel Embiid. Let's talk about Joel Embiid, man, because Joel Embiid had another really good game. And of course, we're going to talk about Jared McCain too. And we'll go back and forth with you guys in the chat. Thank you, Jacob Abra, for the super chat. You know who would be a great fit? Isaiah Stewart. Yeah, I don't know, man. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Isaiah Stewart is a better three-point shooter than I think I thought he was. But I don't know. I don't know if Isaiah Stewart would really change anything for this Sixers team. Let's go talk about Joel Embiid. 29, 9, and 5. And I'm pretty sure he had 20, what do you have? 18 in the first quarter. He had 24, 8, and 4 at halftime. 24, 8, and 4 at halftime. And I think if it would have been a closer game, maybe he, would have pushed 35 or 40. But he was absolutely lights out in the first half. Just like he was against was it the Knicks? And then we got completely shut down in the second half. But yeah, he was lights out in the first half, and it's a little bit of a trend now. 2 games in a row that I've seen from Embiid where he was unbelievably dominant in the first half, and then really, really quiet in the third quarter. That might still have something to do with just this team is just off in the third quarter, and they still haven't really figured out third quarters. They did figure out the third quarter today, but I don't want to say that like Joel Embiid can't last a whole game or anything like that. We're seeing like MVP Joel Embiid in the first half, and then quiet in the third quarter in the last 2 or so games, and so we'll see if that changes. But I mean, you just got to be ecstatic about what he looks like. You have to be absolutely ecstatic about what Joel Embiid looks like. Running full speed. There's a play where he drives down the lane and plants hard on his left knee. I cringe, hold my breath every time he does that. I wish he wouldn't do that. Tyrese Maxey throws him an alley-oop, running full speed down the court. And the bench goes crazy. And, dude, the last time Joel Embiid caught an alley-oop, I think the pass was from Ben Simmons. I'm pretty sure. They asked Tyrese Maxey in his at halftime, I think. And he said, it's been since my rookie season that I've seen Joel Embiid catch an alley-oop. So it's been that long, and he's not really a rim-running center. He doesn't really catch alley-oops. Maxey threw him one. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought maybe he was just going to tip it in. Maybe he's going to catch it and come down with it. He actually put in the alley-oop. So that was crazy, and it's just... it just shows you how far he's come and how healthy he is right now. And knock on wood, and everybody watching and listening, knock on wood. I don't care if you're listening to this tomorrow while you're driving your car and you're listening on Apple Podcasts, which, by the way, give me a follow on Apple Podcasts. It really helps the podcast. Knock on wood somehow, some way. You got a wood grain steering wheel, or you got to just pull over and go into somebody's kitchen and knock on their kitchen counter, knock on wood, that Joel Embiid stays healthy. Because, again, I'm incredibly just happy for him for the comeback that he has made, at least to look the way that he looks right now, because I thought it was over. I thought there was no way he was getting back to playing like this. And it's not just makes or misses. We know he can shoot the ball. We know he has incredible skill with his footwork and around the rim and his touch. But the way he's moving, the way he's planting, the way he's spinning, the way he's running full speed, end to end, it looks great. He looks great. And rebounding. I mean, again, the Bucks are bad, and they give very little effort in a lot of areas. But Joel Embiid had 6 offensive rebounds. That's a big number for Joel Embiid because he doesn't box out, and a lot of times he doesn't even try to get the rebound. So that's a big number. That tells me that he was down there being active on the boards, you know? Tyrese 22, 3 and 9. You know, a nice little third option game for Tyrese Maxey. I know he's had some bad games here now, and the secret society of Tyrese Maxey haters are active on social media. And so it is nice for Tyrese Maxey to get back into a little bit of a groove. It's a good game. And you know, nice for him to not have to try to create everything out there. Like, I'm not defending him at all in the Hornets game. You can't go score 6 points against the Charlotte Hornets if you're a number one player on a team or you're a max contract all-star starter. You just can't. You can't score 6 points against the Hornets. You can't do that. But it was nice for Maxey to maybe be able to, hey, maybe I'll just, you know, get my groove back a little slow. You know, maybe somebody else steps up here and I get to be the third option today. And so that was Tyrese Maxey today, 22-3, 9 assists. Don't forget the 9 assists for the Tyrese Maxey is not a playmaker crowd. 9 assists for Tyrese Maxey. We like that. 47% from the field. Only 1 turnover. And so, you know, not a crazy game from Tyrese Maxey, but decently efficient and kind of played a role on the tail of what Joel Embiid was doing in the first half. Because when Joel Embiid's playing like that, Joel Embiid is obviously the number one option on this team. And I'm going to say that too for the Embiid stans that hate when I say Maxey's the number one or whatever. In the beginning of the season, that's what it was looking like. You know what I mean? I'm just a Sixers fan, man. I just root for the 76ers to win. That's all I do. That's all I do. Joel Embiid at the level that he's at least the past couple of games, that's number one, you know, and that makes everybody's job easier. And just seeing how, like, from the very start of this game, you know, just how open some guys get because Joel Embiid is on the floor. Obviously a massive impact Joel Embiid has on the game. VJ Edgecombe, 12, 8, and 7. He put the headband back on today. We got headband VJ today. You know, knocked down a couple of threes. He was 3 for 3 from the three-point range. He had a nice putback dunk. 6 rebounds. He had a steal. He had 2 blocks. Shout out to VJ. And, of course, Jared McCain. The comeback. Jared McCain gets run because Quentin Grimes was out with a mysterious ankle injury Quentin Grimes was out with. I'm saying mysterious because we are approaching the trade deadline. And I know Quentin Grimes signed the qualifying offer, which came along with a no-trade clause, but Quentin Grimes has the ability to waive that no-trade clause. Quentin Grimes out, mysterious ankle injury. Jared McCain comes in, has his best game of the season so far for the Sixers since coming back from the knee injury. You love to see it. 5 for 6 from three-point range, Jared McCain was. In the fourth quarter, basically, Jared McCain was kind of the one that put the nail in the coffin for the Bucks. He was kind of the one that was like, let the Bucks know this game is over. When he hit, what did he hit? 3 threes in a row? Either at the end of the third or the beginning of the fourth, I forget. But he had a streak where he hit 3 threes in a row, and you love to see that for Jared McCain. 75% from the field, a 106% true shooting percentage. I know that has to do with, like, free throws and threes are more valuable than twos. I don't really understand totally how you end up with 106% true shooting percentage, but that just means very good, I think. That just means very good. And it would be nice, you know, to see if Jared McCain can make this a consistent thing. Because he's struggled since coming back. And it's very nice to see Jared McCain, get out there and see the ball go in the hoop and get a little bit of a rhythm. It goes to show that, how's he supposed to get a rhythm when he gets thrown into games for 3 minutes and then gets pulled back out, But at the same time, the beginning of the season, he was so bad defensively that it was hard for Nick Nurse to even keep him on the floor. So there's I see both sides of the Jared McCain thing with at least Nick Nurse and how he's been playing him this season so far. But 17 in this one now, again, I'll let you guys tell it. Because I don't know I don't know how to tell it. You know what I mean? Because when you look at how bad the Bucks are, how much they clearly don't practice. I don't even know if Doc Rivers goes to Bucks and then he goes back to the golf course, And they were a bottom 10 defense in the NBA with Giannis Antetokounmpo on the team. I don't know how much worse, they might be the worst defense in the league since Giannis was out. And so when you see Paul George, who's been a bum all year offensively, who's been an absolute fraud scrub offensively, get 32, 5, and 5. And then you see Jared McCain, who damn broke his MCL last year and you had a brace on his knee and has been flirting back and forth at the G League and has legit struggled to get his game back at all. Score 17. I mean, Justin Edwards had 8 points against this. So it's difficult because it might just be that the Milwaukee Bucks are that bad. You know what I mean? So, I just want to temper everything. I don't really want to jump to any conclusions because this is a very bad team they just played. Worse than the Hornets. Seriously. I'll take that Hornets team right now in a 7-game series against this Bucks team. Oh my God, by a mile. Did I even say that out loud? Who's their best player right now? Kyle Kuzma? And by the way, the Bucks' second leading scorer this season is Kevin Porter Jr. Even with Giannis on the team, how is Kevin Porter Jr. your second best player? I forgot he was even in the NBA. And he's a talented player. But the Bucks are bad. So I just want to, I want to say good things about how a lot of these guys played, but I want to temper all of it because it might just be that the Bucks are horrible. Shout out to Adem Bona for a couple of volleyball spike blocks. We love to see that. Then he fouled on a 3. I mean, pretty obviously slapped the dude on the wrist. Was it Gary Trent? And then argued with the officials. But yeah, nice for the Sixers to get back into the win column. You guys tell me in the chat, is this a really good game by Paul George and Jared McCain? Is it a Paul George revenge game and Jared McCain's back and the Sixers are a championship contender if they're healthy? Or is it that the Bucks might be unintentionally the worst team in the NBA right now? You guys let me know. Let's see, Kevin Thomas. We can't keep using that narrative every time a player has a good game, bringing up how bad a team is. Absolutely we can. Absolutely we can, bro. When the guy stinks up the joint against every good defensive team they play, and he gives you 9 points in 32 minutes against the New York Knicks, absolutely we can use the narrative that it's hard to say it's not just because the Bucks are trash. I'm happy Paul George got in a groove in this game. But absolutely we can say that. The Milwaukee Bucks are horrible, dude. Watch how bad they played defense in this game. I feel like I could have got a bucket in this game. I could have got at least 2. Don't get happy. Gotta win games you gotta win. Bucks ain't good. Don't get happy. Gotta win games you gotta win. Bucks ain't good. So it's a good win or it's not a good win. Well, you're a Raptors fan anyway, dude. Who gives a shit? But thanks for being here. We the North. We the North in the chat to tell me what to think of the Sixers versus Bucks. We the North in the chat. Let me just take time away from reminding you that the Raptors are still the third seed to answer your question about the Sixers and the Bucks. I'm just kidding, man. Thanks for being here, but seriously. We the North. This game, Ocho Caso. This game, one, Paul George played well because his mom was there. What the fuck, dude? What? Bro, this is a little bit of the reason why I stopped taking live callers and started to do the back and forth with the chat. Because people just say the most outlandish shit in the chat, and it is just prime entertainment every single show. Like, I think when people call in, you know, they want to be a little bit more serious, and they really want to give good takes, and that's awesome. But the chat, just primetime entertainment. Paul George played well because his mom was there. What does that mean, dude? We rotated in bench players earlier this time. Adem Bona is worse than Drummond. We look better without Grimes. Maxey helping Justin Edwards. Quarter one hurts him. Maxey helping Justin Edwards. Quarter one hurts him. Yeah, I mean, we look better without Grimes. I can't answer that one either. I can't answer that one either because this Bucks team is that bad, you know? And here's the thing, like, that's the thing about Jared McCain, not just scoring 17 points in this game, but being playable, you know? Not looking like on the defensive end he was getting totally picked on and annihilated. But we can't just take one game and say Jared McCain's back and the Sixers are better without Quentin Grimes. Because of how shit the Bucks are. We gotta see if it continues. But I would be happy. I would love nothing more than for Jared McCain to be all the way back and the Sixers to be able to agree, come to like a sign and trade agreement with Quentin Grimes or whatever it is. I don't know. Who whines more, the Bucks roster and Doc Rivers or Nick Nurse alone? Probably still Nick Nurse alone. Nick Nurse alone, probably still. Probably still Nick Nurse. I'll start believing when we start beating the Cavs, Pistons, Wolves, Nuggets, etc. What else we got, man? Great game as a team, even though, where'd that go? Ime Hachi, thank you for being active in the chat. Great game as a team, even if the Bucks are bad. Rollins and Turner were balling. Oh, yeah. Miles Turner. Season high. Welcome to the season high sweepstakes. Hey, man, we're playing the Sixers tonight, man. Who's going to get a season high? Miles Turner it is. It was nice seeing staggered minutes between the big 3 and 4. Hey, thank you for pointing that out. Maiko Evangelista 548. Thank you for pointing that out. I talked plenty of times since Joel Embiid's come back this season about Nick Nurse staggering Maxey and Embiid. And I noticed him definitely staggering Maxey and Embiid in this game, especially the first quarter into the second, right? Embiid goes to the bench. Maxey stays out there. He ran a Maxey-centric offense. Then he brought Embiid back in. Then Maxey goes to the bench. He runs the Embiid-centric offense. And there was hardly a time where they were both off the floor at the same time. Paul George was cooking in this game, so you could have them both off the floor at the same time in that third quarter. In part of that third quarter, right? And Paul George was holding down the fort. The problem with most of these games is you go Maxey and Embiid both on the bench, and Paul George doesn't do fucking shit when he's out there without those two guys on the floor. So it was nice that he did it in this game, you know? And so the staggering worked, and Paul George held down the fort when both of them were on the bench. So the staggering looked better, but it's honestly because Paul George was playing a good game. It'd be nice if he did that more consistently also. Doc Rivers called Joel Embiid the best player he ever coached. Yeah, and he added at the end of that, I've never had him healthy in the playoffs. He said, I don't know if you heard the actual quote or just what they put on ESPN. They left out the second part where Doc said, unfortunately for me, I've never had him healthy in the playoffs. So, classic Doc Rivers, woe is me. Classic Doc Rivers, I've never had him healthy in the playoffs. Wasn't me. Did you guys ever see that interview where Doc Rivers went through all of the times he was fired and basically talked about how none of it was his fault? Got the same real history and tears in the playoffs. Nah, you guys beat us in 2019 and you won the NBA Finals, man. What else we got, man? We could let's see. McCain's defense isn't that bad. He can hold his ground. Oh God. Oh no, man. Oh no. Burley Sauce, I fear that you watched Jared McCain last season and you did not watch Jared McCain this season. Because this season, coming back from the knee injury, without having his, not just lateral movement, but, he can't hold his ground this year. Jared McCain has been basically not even a bad defender. When he was out there most games this season, he looked like there was nobody there. Like he was a hologram. Like players just run right through him and lay the ball up. Now, Jared McCain has been a horrendous defender this season. And it's not his fault. I think it has a lot to do with coming back from the knee injury and the strength and planting and moving. But no, he has not been a good defender this season. I think you guys are overhyping this game a little bit because he did have a good game. I'm happy he did. But we got to chill. We got to pump the brakes. We don't know if Jared McCain's back. It was the Milwaukee Bucks, and they're horrible. But at the very least, Jared McCain can use a game like this and build off of this. You know what I'm saying? Phil Evans, this is what happens when PG gets more than 11 shots a game. Just give me above league average from 3 and good defense. Well, I mean, this isn't always what happens when he gets above 11 shots a game. It's not just 11 shots a game, and I know why you're saying that. You're kind of blaming Paul George being a bum on the fact that Maxey and Embiid have the ball the whole game and Paul George doesn't get shots. That's not all the time true. Because you don't just get a set amount of shots no matter what, right? If Paul George is 1 for 7, he just stops shooting the ball. He just stops shooting the ball, right? If he's cooked and he can't give you a bucket and he loses all his confidence on the offensive side of the ball, he just stops shooting. So then he wouldn't even get to 11 shots. Like a lot of that is Paul George's fault. It's not like there's just an offensive plan and Nick Nurse randomly was like, today I'm going to give Paul George more than 11 shots. And last game I gave Paul George 7 shots. A lot of it has to do with how Paul George is playing and how aggressive he's being on the offensive side, whether he gets 11 shots or not. It was slick. It was slick, Phil. It was a slick little way to defend Paul George and make it seem like it's somebody else's fault. He had a good game. I'm happy he had a good game. But Paul George has sucked a lot this season, and it's Paul George's fault. Do you think it's going to be a busy trade day or on the last day of the deadline? Do you think it's going to be a busy trade day on the last day of the deadline? I hope so. It could be massive. Could be a massive trade deadline. Could be massive. It could be Giannis Antetokounmpo. Drummond, it's really looking like they're going to trade Andre Drummond because they're not playing him at all. I hope it's a busy trade deadline, man. We'll see. We'll see, man. Paul Paul George is getting criticized because he's making $50 million playing like Mikal Bridges. Exactly. It's not hard to figure out. It's not hard to figure out. You're too critical on Paul George, dude. You're always hating. See? It's not hard to figure out, man. And the funny part about this is, AKM Guitar says you're too critical on Paul George. You're always hating. The funny part about this is, I've been on YouTube doing this for 6 years. I think this summer will be 7 years. It's a recurring theme, right? And every single season, every time there's a player with a soft mentality on this team, I end up despising them. And it's not random. It's not like I just chose to hate on that player. It's just the feel that I get watching this player every possession of every game. I start to despise the way that they play. And I start to despise their lack of heart on this team. And way back when it was Ben Simmons, there was Ben Simmons stands. I don't know if they still exist or if they have morphed into Paul George stands or whatever. But there used to be Ben Simmons stands, guys. I don't know if they're still out there. And they would come in here and say, you're a hater, and you're too hard on Ben Simmons, and why do you hate Ben Simmons? And they used to start this narrative that I just need a player to hate. And so, like, I randomly chose to hate Ben Simmons. Now, where is Ben Simmons? He's fucking in a professional fishing league or something, dude. He's not even in the NBA anymore. That's how right I was about Ben Simmons. I was so right about how soft and fraudulent Ben Simmons was as a person that he's no longer in the NBA only a couple of years later. And then Tobias Harris happens. Another massive contract for a guy that plays like a soft bum fraud. And I called it out every time I saw it. And there was even Tobias Harris stands, guys. Yeah, people that might own a Tobias Harris jersey. Imagine going into a sports store and buying a Tobias Harris jersey. And they would say, why do you hate Tobias Harris? He's the next one. Since Ben Simmons, you need a new player to hate, so you pick Tobias Harris. Game 6, New York Knicks elimination game. 0 points from that bum loser fraud. So maybe Eastwood's just right, guys. Like you know, if it keeps happening, then maybe it's just that I know what I'm talking about. Maybe my intuition is just accurate. You know? Because if I was a betting man and you told me the Sixers were going to play a team in the playoffs that plays a very physical, like the Cleveland Cavaliers or the New York Knicks, and I had to bet, is Paul George going to play good or terrible, I would bet on terrible. Why? Because history tells me he folds when teams challenge him on the offensive side of the ball. This isn't me hating. This is just me using my fucking brain, dude. Oh man. But thanks. But thank you for listening to the show, watching the show, and contributing in the chat. This is just me. This is just my honest opinion on things, man. Y'all, you know, you're entitled to your opinion, but this is just how I honestly feel about certain things, and that's my opinion on that. I wouldn't go that far. Tobias Harris is still 100 times better than current Klay Thompson. Somebody compared Tobias Harris to Klay Thompson. What else we got, man? Whatever, dude. I believe you. Your death stare has me dying. No, you don't have to agree with me, but you just have to believe that this is my honest opinion. All I can do is be honest. Yeah, that's all I got, man. Honestly, there's not really too much to analyze about this game. The Sixers beat the Bucks. Nice that they handle business. Nice to get a win after looking horrible against the Charlotte Hornets. You know, nice that they didn't collapse in the third. They kind of started to, and then Paul George is the one that honestly brought us out of it and saved us. So nice that they didn't collapse and blow the lead or make it like a nail biter when it shouldn't have been. They took care of business. It's nice to see after such a horrible game against the Charlotte Hornets. And it's nice to see Joel Embiid be playing at the level he's playing at. It's nice to see Paul George have a good game. We'll see if it continues or if it was just that the Bucks are that bad. And it's nice to see Tyrese Maxey have himself a decent game after some bad ones in a row. So let's feed off of this. Let's get it together and let's make a little bit of a run through the end of this season. Because right when the Knicks started to collapse, right when the New York Knicks started losing games, and I thought the Eastern Conference was up for grabs, and the Sixers were on a little bit of a hot streak when they went 4-1 on that road trip, I thought this is the perfect time. The Sixers are going to take the East. We're going to be second in the East. And then we go and lose 6 out of the next 9. They went 3-6 in their next 9 games. So we'll see if they don't let us down this time, man. But hey, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to you